If you or anyone around you are preparing for the civil services, you are an absolute loser. Chauke, let me tell you how. Imagine you're a young Indian, full of ambition, looking to make a difference. You want a stable job, power, and the chance to serve your country. Naturally, you think civil services. But have you ever wondered why this obsession with government jobs began? Let's rewind to the days of the British Raj. The English East India Company was not always in the business of governance. It was a trading enterprise. But as its control over Indian territories grew, it needed administrators, loyal, efficient, and above all, British. Thus, the East India Company Civil Services was born. The Pitt's India Act officially separated commercial and political functions, paving the way for a structured bureaucracy. By 1853, the Charter Act introduced an open competitive exam for recruitment. The Aitchison Commission of 1886 then formalized what became known as the Indian Civil Services, ICS. Now here's the real twist. The ICS was designed to serve the British Empire and not India. It created a class of officials who were brown in skin but English in thought, what Macaulay himself envisioned. This disconnected from Indian roots continued even after independence. Instead of dismantling this colonial bureaucracy, we actually embraced it. The system remained rigid, hierarchical, and obsessed with protocol. Now, this brings us to today's crisis. We have thousands of young Indians sacrificing their best years preparing for the civil services exam. Why? Because bureaucracy in India is still seen as the ultimate path to stability and power. But let's pause and think. Does this system truly empower these young Indians? Each year, the allure of prestigious positions, be it the IAS, IFS, or the IPS, draws a massive number of aspirants. In 2024, approximately 1.34 million candidates applied for the Union Public Service Commission Civil Services examination. However, only about 14,627 candidates qualified for the mains examination and a mere 2,845 advanced to the interview stage. Ultimately, just 1,105 positions were available, highlighting a success rate of less than 0.1%. This intense competition means that countless young individuals invest their 20s, formative years for their career development and personal growth, in preparation, often at the expense of exploring other viable career opportunities. Swami Vivekananda once spoke about man-making education, which focused on realizing one's inner potential and unity of purpose. But what do we see today? A generation struggling with anxiety, parental pressure, and identity crises. Students in Kota and top engineering colleges are taking their own lives because they're being pushed into a system that often fails to reward merit or creativity. Sanjeev Sanyal rightly points out that this rat race to secure a pakki Naukri is a hangover from our colonial past. So what explains the craze for civil services? Every year, nearly 9 lakh candidates appear for the UPSC Civil Services exam, competing for just 900 to 1,200 Group A vacancies. That's a success rate of less than 1%, making it even more competitive than getting into Harvard or MIT. Despite these odds, the obsession with cracking this exam continues to grow. Why? The coaching industry thrives on selling dreams. UPSC is a marathon, not a sprint, as they say. But the reality, students sit in a cramped coaching institute where 300 to 400 batch sizes are sometimes common, and many attend classes through TV screens. Social media platforms like Quora and Reddit are filled with aspirants sharing their struggles, strategies, and anxieties. The hype around civil services comes from a deep-seated belief that bureaucrats are the real bosses of India. Under the constitutional scheme inherited from the British, the permanent executive, which is the bureaucracy, was given immense authority. The imperial civil service, designed for colonial rule, was repurposed post-independence as the Indian Administrative Service (IAS). Sardar Patel famously called it the steel frame of India, seeing it as essential in stabilizing a newly independent country after 2 centuries of colonial exploitation. However, as India adopted a mixed economy model, the civil services became entangled in the culture of license permit Raj, rent seeking, and corruption. Bureaucrats increasingly colluded with businesses for personal profit rather than focusing on nation building. Some scholars actually even describe this as a form of internalized colonialism or sub-imperialism. With the LPG reforms, which is the liberalization, privatization and globalization, which happened in the 1990s, India's economy shifted rapidly. The state no longer rows the boat of economic growth, it merely steers it. Minimum government, maximum governance became the new mantra. Despite this, the IAS craze has actually persisted. Part of this can be attributed to the rise of celebrity babus. With social media, selected candidates can actually achieve instant fame. Look at the case of Tina Darby when she entered Instagram. She became a celebrity overnight, and YouTube is flooded with motivational videos. Telegram channels circulate study materials, and coaching teachers actually build massive following on social media. Some even leverage their influence by supporting protests against exam misconduct, like in the case of Khan sir in the role of Bihar Public Service Commission (UPSC) protest that happened recently. Another major reason for the UPSC obsession is the volatility of the private sector. The hire and fire culture, economic downturns, and fluctuating salary scale makes government job actually seem like a haven of stability. India's traditional risk-averse mindset further amplifies this. Unlike in the West, where entrepreneurship is encouraged, Indian society has long preferred incremental career growth and job security as opposed to accelerated career growth. This is further compounded by poor professional philanthropy and limited venture capital funding in India. On the supply side of things, only 10% of India's workforce has received formal skill training. Higher education often fails to prepare students for the job market. Take, for example, Delhi University's BA Honours in Political Science syllabus. It has little to no relevance for transitioning into careers in public policy, impact evaluation, or even consulting for that matter. Despite all the change in syllabus and revision in the way in which education is actually conducted, even in technical fields, the wage gap between top-level executives and entry-level employees is staggering. Software engineering jobs, once highly lucrative, now offer stagnant wages at the junior-most levels. There's also a major skills gap. While Indian industries are rapidly adopting artificial intelligence, most job seekers lack relevant AI expertise. The 2023 Microsoft LinkedIn report, however, offers a glimpse of hope. 62% of Indian employees are actively upskilling in AI. Given these realities, should young Indians actually continue sacrificing their prime years chasing an increasingly outdated dream? Or is it time to rethink our approach to career stability, power, and success? The obsession with civil services is not just about job security. It's a symptom of deeper issues within our economy, education system, and societal attitudes towards risk. The question is, how do we break free from this cycle? The real question for India's young population is, will they continue chasing government jobs, or will they create new opportunities for themselves? Perhaps the real shift we need is not just in jobs, but how we think about ambition itself. India's youth must break free from the outdated notion of power and impact that can only come through government jobs. The challenge is to think globally, act locally, and drive India's growth not just through administration but through innovation, enterprise, and bringing bold new ideas.